net zero is to, on one side, is to build a house really super efficient with insulation levels that we couldn't even dream, but also to use this barn right here for solar panels so that we can collect enough solar energy through a thing called photovoltaic. We'll have 18 panels up here, and we will make enough electricity during the day to spin the meter backwards. And then at night or cloudy days, we'll spin it the other way to heat the building. At the end of the year, to be net zero, that electric meter should be at or about where we started in the year, and that's net zero. So here we are, we're perfectly facing south right here, and all these panels are going to collect sun beautifully. A day like today makes solar feel unbelievable, but here in New England, we do have some cloudy days. So please send in your questions. We've got a bunch of questions already that have come in advance of it, but please send them in. We're here for a little bit to visit with you. We're going to go inside to the building as well. So the other thing we're doing here is we've got a super tight building, but we're doing something pretty revolutionary with how we're doing the HVAC, heating, ventilating, air conditioning. And the back right here is a single outdoor condenser. Now this thing is large enough and is efficient enough to have enough heat that you're going to find in the outdoor air, even here in New England when it gets down to be zero, to be able to gather heat and deliver it into the building. You know, you tend to think that once it gets cold there's not enough heat, but these things are so efficient. We've talked about it before in some of our segments, that it now can bring in, it can find the heat even when it's cold outside. There are 3 pipes. This is the big difference. Everybody knows of a thing called a heat pump, or any outdoor condenser is always 2 pipes, you know, where the refrigerant goes one way or a heat pump goes the other way. This is actually 3 pipe, 1, 2, 3, and we'll take these lines into the building this way. We ran them in a trench underneath here. So the nice thing is, this thing could be as far away from the building as we need, so you don't see it, and it really just goes away. So now we ran a trench right here. And we ran a trench. Oh, this right here, this is our behind the scenes. This is the great and powerful Oz. This is Mike, our production guy. He just hates the sun. He's like a diva. Hi, Mike. So he didn't bring any SPF 40, so he's hiding behind here. So some questions. One is, can you use a heat pump in New England? I mean, that's a perfect question for us. Exactly what we're talking about. Yes, and what we're using is a thing called heat recovery, that we can actually heat and cool and actually do it simultaneously. We could heat this side of the building, we could cool this side of the building at the same time. That's a breakthrough that we've never seen before. So please send your questions in. We can watch you on the live feed. Follow me down here. Let's go into the basement here. So watch your head. So on these super efficient heat pumps that we've talked about in the past, it's always been that there's a unit like this somewhere in the building, and that's how the heating and cooling comes. And you know, they work beautifully, they're nice and quiet, they're super efficient, but not everybody wants to see that. In this building, we're not using any of these. We're using some other choices how to do it. So one is right here, there's a picture frame unit. So this thing will mount on the wall right here. And let me just find the picture of the frame itself. So, Nick Restivo's with the HVAC company. So the net result is, when this is on the wall, this is what it looks like. This is just a picture that's in it. You can put any picture you want. And then when the unit comes on, it'll tip forward. There's some vents on the side that'll actually deliver heating and cooling. And what happens inside is it connects to these refrigerant lines right here. Can you take that, Nick? Okay, so now these things go into the working part of our building here. This is the crawl space. So we've got Jack Restivo as our HVAC contractor, Ken Castles with the manufacturer LG. Ken, just take us through what you got inside here just a little bit, if you can.
Well, we take those 3 lines and we bring those 3 lines into the building. You got your hot and your cold and your recirculating pipe, basically. Yeah. We're bringing them into these boxes that have all the magic and redirect the flow. In this particular space, we're actually serving 5 different units inside the building.
So the 5 units, take us through. Upstairs, there's 2 ducted units.
2 ducted units, 2 concealed ducted units.
Okay. There's another air handler right here that does all the first floor. The fourth one is our picture frame down here in the family or basement room.
Yep.
And then the final piece is right here. Take us through that.
So the beauty of this project and this product, which is brand new, is the fact that while this technology has existed for some time, but the ability to simultaneous heat and cool in the space, in conjunction now with the recently launched water hydro kit, we're actually redirecting the wasted heat that would normally have gone outside and putting it into the domestic water system in the home, basically for free hot water in the summertime.
Great.
Yeah.
Well, thank you.
You're welcome.
It's never before been possible to actually, one thing is to be able to simultaneously heat and cool. So here's that sunny side of the building, right? And so the sun's coming in, that refrigerant absorbs that heat, brings it back into these distribution boxes here. But then you might have the back side of the building on a fall day that needs a little bit of heat. What you can do is actually, it's smart enough to know to pick up that heat that you had gained from the south side and move it to the north side. And that's never before been possible. The other thing is we can actually simultaneously heat and cool. We can heat in one or the other, and then the other is that we can make hot water for the faucet. So for consumers, it's like a dream come true. You've got a single box outside that can do every function you need inside the building. So hello from Oregon. I was just in Seattle yesterday. That was my most toughest trip back ever. Hello from Georgia. Let's see what else we can ask here. So a lot of people are asking about Roger. Thank you. Roger's doing fine. Thank you for asking. What about zones? Are there options? So let me just review again with this thing. We can come in off the one box outside, go up to 12 individual zones inside the building. You can mix and match like a la carte what you want. There could be the picture frame. We could be a small ducted. There could be a little floor-mounted unit here. There's up to 12 different zones, and you can make it be that you see nothing inside the building because it could also be a ducted system. Is the outdoor unit loud when it's running? No. That's another thing that's amazing. The sound level is pretty amazing here. This is the unit that you've seen before. This is the standard unit. This is what worldwide we've seen everywhere. This is all over Asia. This is all the major manufacturers have this sort of stuff. Can you put this into an A-frame house? You can put it into any house, really. That's Pat from I'm sorry, Steve Butler. Hello, Steve. Hello from Vegas. How are you? So yes, it's awesome to be able to heat and cool the same building in one unit. I think it's a revolution. I mean, all these heat pumps were always good, but they could never get to that design condition that we see here in New England on the worst days, or maybe northern tier into Canada. But they kept on making these things more and more efficient, and now we've reached the point that we can actually have 100% performance at 0 degrees outside, which my grandfather would flip over right in his grave. He wouldn't know how to deal with this magic box. The other thing is, from an electricity standpoint, for every $1 you put in, you get about $3 to $4 and as much as $5 back in equivalent heating output. So it's an interesting story for us, and it particularly matches up with us using photovoltaic. How does the cost compare to other systems? If you start doing all these different zones, it depends on really the installation. But you also have a friend available, and then most of the electrical utilities have got money for more efficient deliveries. And so check your local utilities. Many times there's rebates in almost every state, and sometimes you can get a couple of different rebates because they're promoting the efficiency of this to use electricity that is much more efficient, okay? It is available in New York. Sure, it's available in New York. Everything's available in New York, okay?
Walk outside.
So I'm thinking about buying a ductless. Which would you recommend? Specific? There's many of them on the market. This happens to be LG. There's Mitsubishi. There's Fujitsu, Hitachi, and then some of the American manufacturers have units as well. So you really want to find somebody that knows what they're doing to do the installation.
Back in front of the barn.
Okay. Come on out. So I was getting a little too cool in there, so come on back out. How's that lens doing, Dino? So you've all give us all great info that we need. Thank you very much for Carol. I talked about the cost, and the way this thing works is pretty interesting. So it's a thing called variable refrigerant flow. You know, with the regular condenser you have at your, any air conditioning system, it's just on full and then it's off and it either cools or not. These units are so smart inside that it's constantly changing the amount of pressure on the refrigerant to make it hotter or opening up an expansion valve to make it cooler, so you literally are matching the heat load all the time. So it's a revolutionary time for us. We're excited to show this here, on this job here in Jamestown. Blah, blah, blah. How long has the picture frame been out in this market? The picture frame has probably been at least 6 or 7 years. It's not new, and they're beautiful. My son has them in his house. He's got 3 of them. He happens to have pictures of Tom Brady in the frame. Maybe when Brady retires, we'll switch it to somebody else, but it works great. So, and then I can't really read it in the sun. Okay.
Maybe you should go behind.
Yeah. All right. Do you recommend duct sealant using? So yes. The short answer. I'm going to hide here with Mike. Hi.
Come on in, buddy.
So, yes, I recommend duct sealant. So, and then the last piece I want to talk about with this building is that we are making this house an incredibly tight igloo. It has got R40 and R50. It's got foam. It's got rigid on top of that. Everything's been sealed and triple sealed and everything else. So it's so tight that you got to worry about fresh air in the building. And so one piece that we're going to also talk about in an upcoming, hopefully Facebook Live, and certainly on our pieces here, is anytime you insulate, you need to ventilate. And that means we're going to add a thing called an energy recovery ventilator. We're going to take stale air out of the building and pull it across this heat exchanger and dump it to outside. At the very same time, we're going to bring fresh air in from outside that'll pass through a heat exchanger so that the heat we've already made from this efficient system stays in the building. It's picked up by the incoming air. And you can't do these tight buildings without it. So the last piece I'll say about this building is this whole idea about net zero. It's got to come sooner, not later. And so often the net zeros that we've seen always look like a Jetsons-like house, like super modern, that doesn't always fit the neighborhood because you're always trying to find this southern face. And I think what we've done here is really something that should be repeatable and copyable, that here is a beautiful building built to unbelievable levels that you don't even know, with unreal details. It looks terrific, but we've added this building in such a way that this south-facing roof can make enough electricity for us to carry this building for the rest of its life. So thank you for jumping in here on Facebook Live. Kevin's normally our host, but I think I did a way better job, don't you? No. Yes, everybody said yes. Oh yeah, so I'm really self-congratulating. So we'll see you next time.